Welcome everybody back to another edition of the Tech Woke Podcast. My name is Chris, and on this podcast we talk about cybersecurity, career, and life. In today's podcast, we're going to be talking to Leslie Mariba. He's been working in IT and cybersecurity for the past 4 years. Also, he owns his own consulting business called King's Tech Consulting. And without further ado, we're going to talk to our guest, Leslie Mariba. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Appreciate it, Chris.
Man, it's great to have you on the podcast. I've been hearing great things about you,
I appreciate it.
I can't wait.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start off. Where are you from?
I'm from Alexandria, Virginia, but my parents are from Sierra Leone in West Africa.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So did they immigrate here?
Yeah, they came here in the 90s.
Okay, that's what's up. So you're from the DMV. You've been living here for a while.
Yeah, my whole life.
Mm-hmm. For real. So when you was younger, did you have an interest in tech?
That's a good question. I feel like I always have because I started playing, the original Xbox like at age 4. So I guess me just playing video games, playing Call of Duty, just, always playing with my friends in the parties, people getting hacked online, getting their DDoS attacked offline and stuff like that. That always kept me, in the tech field at a young age. I didn't know it at the time, I guess, but I've always been, technical proficient, especially with like Windows servers and things like that. Like even a little bit about me, when I was like 8 and 9 years old, I don't know if you know the game Club Penguin or Pop Tropical.
Oh, I know Club Penguin.
Yeah, so I used to play those games, but I also had a YouTube channel, and I would make videos, trying to, for people that would play Club Penguin and stuff at the time. And I actually was getting a lot of views and stuff. I used to use things like Sony Vegas, Windows Studio, so I feel like all that stuff was honestly prepping me for, this journey. I just didn't kind of know it, though.
Oh, yeah, it does. Like, even when I was younger, I used to play this game called RuneScape, make videos about that. Club Penguin, they shut it down. I thought it was going to be a forever type thing.
Me too.
So even kids now, I'm hearing like babies, not babies, 3-year-olds, they're using phones and
efficient with tablets.
And they're smart now. So I think everybody's getting more integrated in their technology.
Yeah, that's just the way it's going in today's world.
Okay, yeah. So you were in high school. Did you still dabble in tech when you was in high school?
Yeah, like I said, I still kept playing video games, and I've always, I guess all that stuff, when I was doing younger, kept me technical proficient throughout middle school and high school. I didn't take any, IT classes and stuff in high school, but I kind of always knew I wanted to get into IT, especially because I had some family members in the industry already, and they would always tell me, go to school for IT, get this. I just didn't know what all that meant in high school. I'm over here trying to play sports and just worry about other things, so I wasn't thinking about that stuff.
What sports did you play in high school?
I played football, lacrosse, I did wrestling, and I did track and field.
Are you a big dude? Like, you take me down, man. I was looking at you. I was like, yeah, you got to size everybody up to make sure, and I'm like, yeah. And then too, you got African parents. I'm sure that they try to push you into the medical lawyer route.
Man, you already know it.
Yeah.
My mom wanted me to become a pharmacist. She's always wanted me to go to school for medical, but I just said, it's not me, man. Like, and honestly, growing up, seeing my mom, she was, LPN, so the hours are crazy, and she had to do it because, I was raised by my mom and everything. So, like, I didn't want to put myself through, like, those times. I wanted to, break that generational curse, even though she did her job for me, my sister, and my brother, though.
Okay, I understand. So you're in high school, you're graduating. What was your next step? Did you go to college or did you just go straight in the workforce?
So I actually went to college. I went to school, Norfolk State, over in Norfolk.
Oh, you went to
Virginia.
HBCU?
Yeah, I went to HBCU.
Oh, that's what's up.
Mm-hmm.
I went to Bowie State.
Oh, that's what's up. Yeah. So I went to Norfolk State for freshman year to junior year. Mm-hmm. I actually went to school for computer science. And then in 10th grade, or not 10th grade, but sophomore year, sorry, I switched my major to the IT track because I realized, this computer science stuff is cool, but I was not messing with the math courses, So I switched to, like, I guess, less math, same degree. And then, I was in school and stuff, doing my thing. I still wasn't prepared, for the future yet, but I was just going through things. And then junior year, I had, the biggest thing happened to me. I had my daughter, So,
congrats.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. She's turning 3 in October. But, yeah, I just had to, I don't know if, people, the audience is listening, but when you become a parent, you kind of, like, you get into that mode, like, especially the way I was raised and stuff. I just knew, like, I couldn't be no pushover, So, definitely shout out to my daughter, Malia, for all that. But, yeah, she got me into this field for sure.
Yeah, because when people have kids, it's a very big responsibility.
Yeah,
you got to change your whole lifestyle. You can't sleep. You can't do anything. I have friends that want to start businesses, but they can't because, they have the kid to worry about. So that's at such a young age. I'm assuming you was probably 19, 20 at the time?
I was 21.
Oh, 21 at the time? Oh, man. Yeah, so you had to grow up. And I respect you, thinking about your daughter and just... I got to get my life, because even with me, I've always said to myself, I had a kid young, I would just join the military or something like that to make sure my kid is taken care of. So, black fathers,
Yeah, no.
So to jump back to the computer science track, I never understood why they have so much math, and I'm seeing all these coders come off the street. They don't learn no math.
Honestly, man, that's just one part of school that kind of is confusing because even in my IT track, I started to take some math classes. You know, even if you're a business admin major, you got to take math class. I guess they call it general studies. So, you know, that stuff definitely confuses me. That's kind of why school had me, you know, kind of running away from the IT track. Like I said, I went from computer science to IT, so I was already dumbing down, you know. And then, so I definitely understand what you mean from that, from that perspective.
Okay, so you had your daughter. Did you continue to stay in school, or what is your thoughts?
So actually, when I knew I was having a daughter, you know, she wasn't here yet. Obviously, she was 3 months pregnant, you know, so we had to just get ready, you know. So I actually dropped out of school in Norfolk State, and like I told you, mentioned earlier, I had a lot of family members in the industry, so I was kind of already working towards getting my Security Plus certification because they told me, yo, get this Security Plus, and I didn't know like what it really meant, you know. But you know, we'll talk about it later about you know how important that cert is. But you know, so it took me 3 to 4 months to you know study for that cert. I got that cert around you know August of 2021, and then from there, that's when my journey really started.
Okay, so when you were studying for the Security Plus, myself, I was really confused on how to study for it. So how did you study for it?
There's a lot of material. So one thing I would tell the audience for sure, you know, when you're studying for anything or doing anything in the tech industry, do your research because online has a lot of materials for free, whereas you don't have to pay $4,000, $5,000 for these these boot camps that are offering certifications, but they can't even tell you what's going on, you know. So you know, there's people like Professor Messer, LinkedIn. There's a lot of cybersecurity professionals in the field that are giving tips for the Security Plus because when you look at it from the Security Plus end, all it is really is it's the people say it's the high school diploma to get into cybersecurity. So try not to feel so overwhelmed while taking it or studying for it because it is just an entry level cybersecurity cert at the end of the day. You know?
Yeah, and also with the Security Plus, I've seen people get jobs in the field without it too. But it's a mainstay if you want to get into the DoD because I think it's a requirement.
Yep, exactly. It's called the DoD 8570, and they have a bunch of IA levels. They got IA level 1, IA level 2, IA level 3, and they got even more requirements. You know, the more you get into your career. But yeah, so that's kind of what when I mentioned earlier, everyone's telling me get the Security Plus, Security Plus. I didn't know why they really meant it, but that's exactly why. Because you can literally, if you work for the Department of Defense or even the intelligence community, if you want to work IT from the help desk level to even the most senior technical position, you need to meet that DoD 8570 requirement. So you could literally have one cert in that requirement and make up to honestly $200,000 if you play your cards right. You know?
Yeah, that's facts.
And people always tell you go get a bunch of these certs, but nah, it's all about being efficient. You know.
And just to double back on these boot camps, I've seen it. Like even with me, they was like, "Oh, did you go to school to get this Security Plus?" I said, "No, I studied myself." I only spent I only spent probably like $200-$300 just getting the material. Yeah. But I'm not gonna take a 1 week boot camp to pay $3,000. It's a scam in my opinion.
Yeah, and then sometimes it's like they can't even tell you what they're offering in the boot camp. They just say, "Oh, everything I told you on the phone," or how you communicated through them, and then you get there and it's like a whole different, we'll talk about this later, but even for my business, I have a lot of clients that have done boot camps and they're still having trouble getting jobs, So it's like, why waste? That's like a school semester right there, man. $5,000 and you still can't even get a job. To me, it looks, it hurts, So definitely.
Yeah, I mean, people just gotta humble and listen, and that's what I do understand too. And we'll talk about this a little bit later. But people are afraid to pay people for consulting. If you're already in the field, you can verify they work for these companies. We know what did get you hired and what not to get you hired. Exactly. So, did you when you took the Security Plus, did you pass it the first time? Or?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, that's good. Mm-hmm. I took it 3 times.
Dang, really?
Yeah, so I only passed. Every time I failed it, I failed it by a couple points. So.
Oh yeah, so you was always close though.
Yeah, the last one I did on I think it was online, and then I passed it literally by a couple points this time. So.
At least you're in there now.
I got you. So you got your Security Plus. Explain the job. How did you find a job?
So for me, like I said, I got it around August 2021. So that was during the COVID, and I think Hurricane Ida was going on and stuff. So I was in a lucky situation. I think it took me only like a month to get a job, and it's not like that. Trust me. When people say get the Security Plus, you're guaranteed a job within 3 months. That's not true all the time. I got a enterprise service desk engineer position with FEMA, and at the time that was a contract with Base Systems, a really popular government contracting company, and they had a contract for IT services supporting people that were affected by Hurricane Ida and COVID-19. So I picked up, that was my first, IT job, especially in the government field. I got my public trust clearance. So, that helped me open up the doors, learned the foundation of how IT really works, especially in the government space, because it's done differently.
This episode is sponsored by NordVPN. Protect your online browsing with NordVPN. Please click the link down below. You get 75% off NordVPN when you click the link down below. Every portion goes back to the channel. Check it out. Back to the video. It's done completely different. It can be slower, longer, or faster. It just depends on what the right time you hit it. You got in at the right time because...
And that's what I always hear.
Yeah, that's great. Did you have to get a clearance before you did the job?
Yes, like I said, they gave me the public trust. So I did my SF80, did the paperwork, everything. Everything went through smooth. I was young, so thank God, I had no trouble.
Even better.
Yeah, records clean, all that. So, it's pretty easy for me to get it.
So you was in the service desk?
Yeah, service desk. Mm-hmm.
So can you explain to the audience what do you do? What did you do in the service desk?
So in the service desk, I used to answer, like tier 1, tier 2 tickets. And honestly, man, at that time, I was getting phone calls from every user. So they would tell me, I would get phone calls about, network connectivity issues, and we weren't really trained to fix all of that if it wasn't a VPN issue. So I would have to escalate those to maybe the network engineers. Sometimes I would get a BitLocker issue, and we weren't trained to do that either. So I'd have to escalate to the security team, or the system admins. So we were doing a lot of tickets, but my main responsibilities were doing password resets, changing people's emails, making sure their software was updated, and just basic IT support stuff, that we were trained on. Most of it was helping people create accounts for, like I said, they were affected by, Hurricane Ida and COVID-19, so they had funeral assistance, all that. So we were dealing with all those applications, helping them get it set up and troubleshoot them. But also, back to when I was talking about the tickets getting escalated to, the network engineers, the security engineers, that helped me, understand how IT really works, what problems are going to which team, And once I started realizing that, it really helped me put everything together, and then from there, I was just trying to, continue my skills, build up there, and just, career development, man.
So when you were doing this position, did you do a lot of troubleshooting?
Yeah, a lot of troubleshooting.
Okay.
Yep. Phone calls, it was remote, thank God, during that time, but a lot of phone calls, and I actually worked at 2 to 10 p.m., so it was rough, but, we had to start somewhere.
Yeah, you got to start somewhere, and then also, too, after you was troubleshooting, did you ever try to fix some of the tickets yourself, or?
Yeah, the goal was to have a closed ticket by the end of the phone call with the user, and if we couldn't, we would escalate them. But for most of, our tickets, if we could solve them, they were solved, because we were trained how to do them. SLAs are pretty easy, and we had, the knowledge base and all that stuff. So, yeah, for the most part, I would close most of my tickets. I felt like it was a simple job for me, just because you're doing a lot of the same tedious tasks, and it gets repetitive. And sometimes it can get, I guess, annoying for someone that wants to, develop, and stuff, even though, everything takes time. At the end of the day, you got to keep that in your head in this industry, but, yeah.
So you was tier 1, so tier 2, tier 3 was the security team, or those?
So I was tier 1 and tier 2.
Okay.
And I guess you would say the security team would be the tier 3, tier 4, but, you got the network engineers, sysadmins, and then, security team. So, it just depended on how they were, working it.
Can you explain a little bit about what the tiers mean?
Yeah, so, tier 1, like I said, tier 1, you're basically dealing with your normal customer service, troubleshooting issues. So let's say a user calls you, you pick up the phone. Hello, my name is Leslie Marie, but how may I help you? And then they're like, oh, I'm having trouble logging into my account. Can you help me reset my passwords? And then you got to remember, sometimes these users that are calling, they're pretty old and stuff. They're not used to, they could probably reset their password on their own through the portal, but just like my mom and other people, they're not technical proficient, so you got to be patient with them. And, the process is pretty easy. So that was some of the issues I was getting at the tier 1, tier 2 level, password resets or account issues. So I'd have to use, something like Active Directory to, troubleshoot some of the issues and things like that.
Yeah, because, even my mom, she get on my nerves sometimes.
I swear.
She'd be like, back in the day, she used I think it was VHS and DVD. And I just try to teach her how to put it in there. She'd be like, huh? What'd you say?
Yeah.
Press this button, press this. And I'm like, woman, it's simple. But I trust me, I know what you deal with.
And even now, my mom, so now timesheets, they don't do papers no more. Everything's online. So I got to log into her system and submit her time for her. And I'm like, Mom, one day we'll move on. But we get in there, though.
So that's a good position. A lot of people don't know working in the help desk is where a lot of some problems can start, and so you're building up the reputation in the field, and you're learning what you want to do going forward. Exactly. So is that how you figured out what you moved into your next position?
Exactly. Yep.
So when you moved to your next position, oh, I forgot to say, how much was you making in this position?
40,000, so 20 an hour.
Oh, that was good. When you 20, what is it, 20,
21.
21 making 40,000, I thought I was rich. And
I did too.
Until I started seeing other people's paychecks, I was like, for real? You getting that?
Yeah.
And then also, how did you find your first position?
I think I found it on LinkedIn or like ZipRecruiter. It's funny because I still remember the recruiter's name till this day because, that position changed my life. Like, if it wasn't for that role, I would have never, so I remember a lot of important things to me. So, shout out Jacqueline if she ever watches this. But, so I found it on LinkedIn and it went from there.
Shout out to Jacqueline. You never know who watching.
I swear.
Yeah, so you moved into your next position. What was your next position?
I was actually a junior system admin at a company called Vectrus over here, headquartered in McLean, Virginia. But they support, the Army, the Navy, and a lot of other DoD customers. But I worked on their corporate commercial side. So I was around, their C-suite executives, like the CFO, the CEO, and it was crazy because I'd never been in that environment before, I had my senior admin, he was telling me, yeah, you could look these people's salaries up online and you'll see them. And I was seeing numbers like 800,000, 900,000, sign-on bonuses for 300. I'm like, wow.
Your eyes got big real quick.
I swear.
You said
and that's when I was like, wow, there's so much you can really do, like just with your career, not even in the tech space. It can start there, but then, you can really grow from there, so...
Yeah, because even as a young person transitions into the corporate environment, it can be very different. Like, even with me, it's just how people talk, how you present yourself.
Mm-hmm.
How did you adapt to that?
I feel like I adapted to it very well just because of the jobs I was working there. So, like, I would say I was pretty good at what I do, So, and I'm also a really good communicator. I have good soft skills. So I think people were able to communicate with me well, and I had no troubles with it. You definitely have to adapt to it, especially being a person of color and stuff for sure. But it was nothing. You got to go through a lot of stuff regardless. So I just took it, to the chin, just kept it going.
So you were switching over to a junior system admin. What did you do to kind of get the experience to take on that role?
I basically I worked my role at FEMA, and then I just redid my resume with all the softwares I used at FEMA. And I just, like I said, you can get a job easy sometimes, but sometimes it takes a while. So I just started doing mass applications on ZipRecruiter, Dice Jobs, LinkedIn, Clearance Jobs. Like, there's so many platforms, And I actually remember who hit me up for this too, but his name is Ryan. So the recruiter Ryan hit me up, and he called me saying, hey, I got this, this position at Vectrus. Are you interested? And I had an interview, and it went well, and then I got the role. And that role right there was one of my most important roles to me because I started learning like these new cloud technologies like Microsoft Azure, SolarWinds.
Oh, that's some good ones.
Exactly. Using some SIEM tools, like...
You got that young? Oh, yeah, man.
Exactly. So, like I said, you just got to play your cards right and take advantage of it.
Yeah, that's what you got to do, and it seems like you really took advantage of it. So, what type of system admin was you?
Windows system admin.
Oh,
so
Windows?
We worked in a Windows environment. So for the most part, it was configuring Windows servers or dealing with like on-prem Active Directory and cloud Active Directory.
Oh, that's good.
Exactly. So you're dealing with So I worked in the commercial environment, So it wasn't really government. No, I didn't need a CAC or nothing. No clearance required.
So this is a commercial position.
Exactly. So we started using a lot of these commercial softwares, that the government actually takes over. So just great experience overall. Okay. And like I said, being around the C-suite executives, I got to talk to them. And it might sound crazy, but I was talking to dudes making $1 million. I'm like, wow, so just got a lot of good knowledge and advice from people there.
How would you encourage the people to network within the companies that you work?
Definitely, especially as, for my young audience, don't be scared to talk to new individuals. Cause like you said, earlier, adapting to that corporate environment can be different. So how else are you going to adapt to it if you just, act like a ghost? You got to be interactive. So come out your shell. I have a hard time coming out my shell. That's why I'm doing this right now, so just, keep focusing on that and just get as much knowledge as you can from them.
Yeah. Like even for me, I had a mentor, and with him, he would go talk to everybody, play around, and he'll just communicate. And he taught me how to do it, who to talk to, and just even talking to people, it builds better rapport to say, hey, Chris, or hey, Leslie, this person is great at what they do. So talking to people is very, very good, and it helps build your rapport, and then also helps build your network in case you want to get a job. Like, for example, what I do, I don't go on Indeed for a lot of jobs. Mm-hmm. What happens is I just go to somebody, I need a job, and 9 out of times I don't have to interview. Yeah. So that's the good thing about doing it.
Yeah, like networking is key, man. It can get you places a lot of things can't, So
I got you. So you as a Windows admin, did you get a lot of Windows certs, or you just played around with it?
Just played around, no certs, So I still have my Security Plus. I did like some small like Corsair cybersecurity certs while I was there, just to touch up on the skills, but nothing else, just Security Plus.
Did you have a VM software?
A virtual machine?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we use Azure VMs at that job, but I did have experience using VMware too before.
So with Azure, did you get your Azure cert, or you just?
No, not yet. I actually been thinking about it, but I just I left a new company, so we don't use Azure no more. So I'm just I might get an AWS cert now.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So in a lot of companies, like a lot of the companies are. A lot of the governments are going to the cloud, so that's good to have. And then, too, back in the day, if you can get like an Azure cert or AWS cert, AWS is where everybody's going to now.
Yeah.
Back then, they used to get you paid, but they don't understand. Like, even if you do get the cert, you still got to know how to code and do other things like that. So it's more better to get technical experience is where I'm going at.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so you was doing this role, and then what other things did you do for this role?
For the most part, we were just like making sure all the systems and servers were like up and running, and there was no like downtime for the executives and stuff. So it was a lot of monitoring. It was a lot of meetings, and just honestly, I was just learning like as I go. And they hired me knowing that this person doesn't know it all, but I like the way he's talking, and that too from our audience. You don't have to job descriptions, sometimes they can be wish lists. If you get an interview, there's a reason you got it, and then it's up to you to, finish it out, so it just depends. But
while you was doing this role, did you feel any type of imposter syndrome ever?
I feel like, me being young, I was always going to feel that, but at the same time, no, because I kind of had my mind on where I wanted to go, and I knew I was trending in the right path, going from help desk to now systems administrator. So like I said earlier, everything comes with time, so I just knew eventually, time would take me there. I always tell my clients that too, even my friends, all that. So I'm a big believer in just, letting God do his work and I do mine type.
Sometimes you just gotta let God work. Sometimes I just go on walks of faith. They be like, people be looking at me crazy. I'm like, listen, trust the Lord.
I swear. Yeah. Do you and then let him do his work.
Yeah, that's how you gotta move every now and then. So when you was doing this role, so you moved on to become a system admin, a full
system admin.
Admin.
Mm-hmm.
So how was that upgrading from a junior to a?
That was definitely a big shift for me. Because first of all, that was my first DoD job. I was working for a company called Leidos as a systems administrator.
That's a great company.
Yeah, and we were supporting the Navy, a big client, and the Marine Corps. So that was my first DoD job. I started to understand, like the environment. Because, people always say working in the government is different. I didn't really know what that was until I got in there now. I got my secret clearance now. I got my, we started applying things like STIGs, doing things like ACAS scanning, understanding what the risk management framework is. And then one thing I'll say, too, to the audience, if you're trying to get into the government tech space, these acronyms is very, important to learn. You're going to see a lot of acronyms in this industry. And just knowing what they mean can get you a lot of places.
So with vulnerability scanning, you could just download it from home, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You could download a Nessus tool and stuff. But, the DoD, they use ACAS, which is basically a suite of tools from Nessus or Tenable. And you use them to scan hardware or software assets and then find what vulnerabilities and, category 1, category 2, category
So you was creating STIGs from scratch?
No, the STIGs were already there. So, we have something called a STIG viewer, and you can download that from cyber.mil too if you have a CAC or you work for the government. So we would download STIG viewer, type in, I guess, what certain software we're trying to find the STIG for, like SharePoint, type in Microsoft SharePoint, and they'll show you the STIG and how to, apply it and things like that.
Yeah, cyber.mil is a good thing for people to use. I use cyber.mil every day, and it's free. Mm-hmm. So you can download STIGs, check out different emerging technologies, read articles. So for the audience, make sure you're checking out cyber.mil. It helps out for the position. Did you get your upgrade your clearance at this time?
Yep. So actually, while I was at that company Vectrus as a junior system admin, I actually had an interim secret because I was supposed to get a job, supporting a DoD client, but it never went through, I guess, but I got a free interim clearance from it. So also, while I was at Vectrus, my goal was, I know I need a secret to get into cyber and all that. I need to find someone to pick up this clearance. Because Vectrus, I was working on the corporate side, So I needed to shift over to that government sector. So that was really my goal while I was at Vectrus, too.
And then a lot of people always be like, when you get like a full scope poly, they think you need a full scope poly or SCI. No, you just need a secret. So you can get you paid. So you can get you $100K.
More too.
Yeah, it can pay some serious money. Just a regular secret, top secret, because they be like secret or top secret. Secret is enough.
Yeah,
yeah, And you were still a Windows system admin?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because, the DoD, that we all work on Windows. So we was configuring Windows on, like, Windows servers, updating them, making sure they were good, working in, skiffs, and, just doing, like, computer re-images and deployments, making sure customers have their devices ready to use. And at that time, while I was at the Navy, they were going through a big migration because they were using Office 2016 products, but they shipped over to DoD 365, which they call it at the Navy flank speed, which is, fast ships and stuff. But all it is Microsoft 365, the cloud suite. And, so that was a big thing while I was there. And it actually kind of helped me land my next role at the Navy Yard as well.
Oh, that's cool. And you're building up your connections at the same time.
Yeah, always.
Always
networking.
So for the audience, make sure whatever position you do, always network. And also make sure you're doing good and you're good with the people, because if you're not good with the people, they're not going to refer you.
Exactly.
So at this point, you're kind of in the IT field. Just to double back. So with the tier 1, tier 2, are they sending tickets to you at this point to fix?
Yep. Mm-hmm. The service desk was calling me now.
Oh, so they was calling you to fix the problem. So they started from the bottom, man.
Exactly. You just see how and you just see how it works. So, yeah.
Yeah. I know you was really proud of yourself.
Yeah, man, I was. But I had a lot of some mentors. They always one thing I'll tell you too. Never get too complacent in the IT industry. So, yeah, always give yourself a pat on the back and stuff, but, just don't get too comfortable. I have a lot of friends that, they were working help desk, making good money and stuff, but now, they're like, what's next for me? I'm tired of doing tickets every day. I want to, develop my career. So, definitely don't get too comfortable at the help desk is my advice for people.
Yeah, for me, in the contracting, I always say give it 2 years, because in the contracting field, they try to keep your pay the same. The only time they pay you is either you can get a job and you can show how much money you made to show them to it. The only ways you can get paid more money in the government contracting field is you can go to another company, get something to show that they're going to pay you more, or you can just say you're leaving and then see if they keep you, and that show you how much valuable you really are.
Exactly. And then a little bit about the contracting space people don't know about is you have something called a prime contractor. So let's say I was working for Leidos, which is a big IT company. You got a bunch of small companies you probably never even heard of on that same Leidos contract. For example, I was working on the Engine, the Next Gen Enterprise contract, and you have companies like Inside Global, Apex Systems, a bunch of staffing agencies that are also working with this. So my colleagues were working for Apex, Inside Global, and other companies as well. So if you're a subcontractor, always remember you're literally just getting paid for the hours you work. So at the same time, yeah, you want to be loyal to, your company and stuff, but you're only getting paid for what you do. So just, know your worth is what I'm saying.
And to help grow in the field, did you ever take on projects that wasn't necessarily your job to get better?
Yeah, and sometimes, my boss would kind of refer me to take on this project because, they look at SLAs and KPIs to see who's doing the best work, and that obviously, shows them. So, yeah, I took in some projects, I did a couple SIPR projects, and, working in that environment could be a little bit different, so I remember that's how I got my hands dirty a little bit, and then I started taking on more projects in my next role, and then just took it from there,
Yeah, like with SIPR, a lot of people don't want to come in the office, so.
Yeah, you don't.
Yeah, so they were like, nah, forget that, you
Exactly.
know. Because even with me, how I grew in my field is I would come in the office every day. And I would come on weekends and I would stay later just so I can help grow myself in the field. So sometimes you got to do things you don't want to do.
Yeah, I was willing to take on call for one of the jobs as a junior admin. I was on call, on the weekends and stuff just because, like you said, man, just trying to grow, build that rapport, show people I'm willing to work and stuff like that.
So as a system admin, I know you're working with a team. How did you figure out how to, work with everybody? For the most part, my colleagues were pretty cool, and like I said, my soft skills, I think I'm very confident in them, so I feel like I'm able to adapt to a different, how do I say it, natures or something of people, different characteristics. So that really helped me, just working with teams and stuff. Also, to assist admins, we were working with our information assurance team, so the ISSOs, sometimes the ISSMs, because at the end of the day, we might be at the bottom of the barrel when it comes to the RMF framework, but we're applying sticks to the same systems they're trying to, make sure are secure and things like that. So we were doing a lot of cross-collaboration. Yeah, trust me, as an ISO, I'm always bothering y'all.
Yeah, you see?
I'm like, listen, fix this vulnerability. It's been here. This 0 day been here for like 5 years, man. I mean, no, I'm sorry, not 5 years. That's scary.
Too long,
that's too scary. Like, it's been here 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
We need to take it off. How did you deal with, sometimes as a system admin, there's issues that come up that you might not know how to fix, how would you do that?
Like I said, we worked with a lot of cross-functional teams, and like I said, we were kind of at the bottom of the barrel. So I would go up to maybe my ISIs or my ISSOs, the ones that actually had prior experience to doing the systems administration, or go to my lead, because they knew the most, and then we would just work from there as a team. I really didn't have issues like getting help from other people, because most of the jobs I worked in, you kind of have to work as a team in the IT environment to be successful. So you can't.
That's smart.
Yeah.
You gotta do what you gotta do. As a person that's in the field, you got to know how to get there. Like, even for me, like, sometimes I don't know how to create a document. I go to this person, hey, have you did this? And then you just got to bounce it off of each other. Just don't always try to think you can figure things out. Like, or you be like that person, I got it. You know how he talks about, I got it. Mm-hmm. No, don't do that. That's smart.
It's not smart at all.
So I know you wanted to get into, so you start transitioning to cybersecurity now, right? Mm-hmm. So what did you do to start doing that?
I still have my Security Plus, the golden cert, so I was good on that end. Have my secret clearance now, and I picked up a new role as a systems engineer at the Navy Yard as well. So the way I got that role is I was a system admin at the Navy Yard, and this one admiral liked my service and stuff, so she kind of literally like offered me a position to.
Oh, that's how it be.
Yeah, a different building on the same base. More, I said, why not? More experience, more money. Who's saying no to that?
Your network is your net worth.
Literally. So I didn't even have to change cash or nothing. I started literally within 2 weeks, and then that job was a little bit different for me because I was supporting 5 GS15s and an SCS. So like,
oh, for real?
Yeah, doing management consulting. Trying to help their management.
That's scary.
Yeah, it was scary. I won't lie. They kind of threw me in the water, but I worked with my chief of staff hand in hand. She was like the best. Shout out Brooke if she ever watches this too. But she helped me like during my journey. She really gave me the keys to do my job, because they were having trouble finding like someone for this position, because systems engineer can be a broad title sometimes, and like it's very complex, So for what they were looking for, I guess I was a good fit because of my prior experience with the Navy. So I know all the softwares, and I literally was doing system admin for the servers that I'm working on and stuff like that. So that definitely helped me.
So how do you handle pressure? That's a lot of pressure. SCS, GS15s, you know how they be.
I know how they be, yeah. Honestly, man, like I said earlier, I just try to do my job, communicate with them very well. I feel like my spirit rubs off on people, so I think that really helped me because for the most part, I didn't feel like overwhelmed once I got, comfortable and started building my relationships with the GS15s and the SCS. Like even on my first day at that job, my SCS told me, you're going to be my best friend. So when I hear that from an SCS, I'm like, okay, that's good. Like she got my back kind of, This is literally the head of the whole department. So just hearing stuff like that and them kind of trusting me to do my job, you build confidence from that, Yeah, and then mind you, my right-hand man in that role was the chief of staff, so she was managing all 5 teams, so it's like...
Well, you taking care of them. They must have they knew who you was, they taking care of, because even me, I work through the AO, she's the SCS, and even when I come down there, the scars be all nervous and sweating. I go to her, hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
Then and just calmly, as long as I'm doing my job, there's nothing else she can really do to you. It's like you're cracking a whip out here,
Exactly. And for the most part, from my experience, they'd be cool. Like, obviously they got a high title, they got a lot of stuff to do, but if you're respectful to them, they're kind of respectful to you.
They do. And if you ain't doing your job, they probably might drop kick you,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So as an information system engineer, is it different from a system admin?
Definitely different because I'll say one thing about a systems admin, you're kind of the systems are already in place depending on hardware, software, servers, things like that. They're already in place. You're kind of just making sure they're up and running, and if they go down, you patch you patch softwares or whatever to keep them up and going. But versus a systems engineer, it's one of the most broadest job titles in our industry and in any industry, So basically, a systems engineer at the most basic level is an individual that designs and manages complex systems over a life cycle. So from beginning to the ending phase, and then honestly, it doesn't stop because you have to do continuous monitoring, make sure the systems are not down and running and stuff like that. So that's kind of what a systems engineer is.
Can you elaborate more on the continuous monitoring?
Yeah, so just basically, that's a fancy word for just basically literally like watching the systems, making sure everything is up and running. No one's reaching out to you saying, hey, I can't get into this portal. Why is that, So just basically every day, continuous monitoring would be opening up all the systems. So for my example, in my last role as a systems engineer, I was focused on the cloud systems, the Flink speed, so DoD 365. So I was working with things like Microsoft Power Apps, SharePoint Online, Power BI, Excel, making sure we can integrate all of certain things management needs, So here's a good example. Our SCS, we needed like a a RTO tool to make sure we see who's in office, who's on leave, who's remote. So I built a Power App through Microsoft Power Apps, which is a low coding app. So you don't actually need to know too much. You don't need no programming at all for that stuff. And I built like, an RTO app so that people could log in and then basically like clock in and put their status of where they're at, so people can just check there instead of emailing some person, hey, is this person on site today? Just go to Tracker, Basically, my role was to use the technology that the Navy had to make everyone's job easier.
Okay, so can you go elaborate? You got me curious now. So, like, explain some of the emerging technologies that the government might be using.
So definitely, like I said, cloud and AI or something. Like just recently, the government, I think the White House announced that every agency has to hire a chief AI officer. So that just shows you that they're moving.
A chief AI officer?
Yeah. So they're trying to basically like. They're moving towards AI, Even when I went to this one conference recently, they were talking about automation. It's all the same words, integration, because they want to make sure someone that's in the office can communicate with someone that's in the field, So all these systems have to be able to talk to each other no matter what, So definitely AI and cloud computing when it comes to the government.
What about RPA?
RPA, I don't know too much about robots, but definitely they're adopting that as well. Everything automation, they want to take over, because it can help them in the field and free people that work for them, even the consultants and everything.
So at ISSE, you're doing STIGs. Are you using EMAS? Are you creating poems and things like that?
Yeah, so we're creating poems, and then we're not applying STIGs. We're kind of creating the architecture for the validators or the system admins to apply, the controls and STIGs. So we just make sure, the correct software, asset name is lined up with the correct STIG and stuff, so that when it's time for the validation, before you get your ATO, they have the correct checklist to run all the scans and stuff, and then they do their dirty work. So we don't get our hands too dirty on the technical side. I feel like it's more of us being that bridge between the stakeholders and the validators. But you do have to have a really good technical background just to understand, what's going on, A lot of former ISIs used to be validators, so that just goes to tell you,
So tell me some of the soft skills you need to work in this field.
Definitely just communication is huge, Like you have to know how to speak to different people because everyone has their own personality. So if someone's shy, you got to, open them up a litof bit, or just got to be able to relate to people sometimes and just honestly just be yourself. That's all I did was be myself, and that's kind of what I recommend. Another soft skill I would say is definitely have respect for others, because people are dealing with a lot of stuff, so you just never know.
Yeah, being respectful, being yourself are some of the things you need to do to work in this field. As a minority in cybersecurity, sometimes it can be hard for us to be ourselves because we're trying to, other races can be more dominated in the field. So it's kind of hard. Me, more recently now, I'm just starting to be myself because listen, I can't keep faking this no more.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like I try to fake it at first, but then I'm like, man, this is not even me. Let me just be myself. And if they accept me, then they accept me, So... Yeah.
Yeah, you got to be yourself, man. If you don't like you, F them. I
swear. Life goes on.
Yeah. So are you slowly trying to get into the ISO role now?
Actually, no, because I just started this ISI role in March. So I'm just, like I said, taking things slow. I'm going to probably, just really stay here for a while, gain my skills and build up my experience and then take from there. Definitely going to work on a couple certs because my degree program actually comes with certifications. So I'm just going to be doing the same thing, building my career and learning my job at the same time.
You're back in school now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so...
Oh, yes, I got back into school after leaving NSU.
Oh, that's good. Mm-hmm. I know you setting an example for your daughter.
Yeah, I'm trying to, man.
Show them how to be a real man,
Yeah.
And I respect that, man, because we have a stigma as, it's a stigma out here that, we don't want to take care of our responsibilities, but you're out here doing what you got to do to make sure you straight, and everything is good. Are you married now? Have a girlfriend?
Nothing now. Just, chilling right now. Just focusing on taking care of my daughter, and just building my skills. Like I said earlier, when the time is right, everything, I let God do his work. If it happens, it happens. But now I'm chilling. Yeah.
Are you, taking care of your daughter and working in this field is very, very stressful. How do you deal with that?
So I have, usually on weekends and stuff like that, or sometimes weekdays. But for the most part, since my schedule is hybrid, I can work from home and she can still be there, So that's the, the pros to that. But also, too, is definitely shout out to her mom because, she has her most of the time and she's taking care of her. So I can't take all the, all the load for it. So definitely respect to her. It's definitely challenging and stuff, but I like being a father, you know, because if it wasn't for my daughter, I wouldn't be having this conversation with you right now.
Yeah.
I might be in Norfolk still. I'm so serious, you know.
Tell me about your company that you started.
So I have a company called King's Tech Consulting. And, you know, in a nutshell, we help people break into the tech industry or advance their careers in the tech industry through 4 services, mainly resume services, career coaching, certification training, and then also to, you know, just consulting services if small businesses need like IT support, cybersecurity support, and things like that, because I have experience in it, and I have other colleagues and professionals with experience in it. But it's funny how that company was actually built. It was built in my basement. I was working for FEMA, you know. I would have a couple of my friends come over to check on me, you know, see how I was doing, because, you know, I just had a daughter and stuff, and I had one friend who just got his, you know, associate's degree, and he was like, "Oh, I'm trying to get into IT, but I don't, no certs or nothing, mind you." He's like, I said, "Yo, let me just try doing your resume." So I did his resume, you know, and he got a network engineer job as his first IT job with just an associate's degree, working for a very big company, you know. And just from there, they told me, "Yo, you should make a company like this. This shit works, you know." And they told me, you know, my Instagram name is King Mariba, so they said name it King's Tech Consulting, and I just took it from there slowly, but you know, day by day, it keeps, you know, growing and stuff. I was on Thanksgiving, you know, last conference, so that definitely helped my business grow. And then, you know, the ultimate goal is to get into government contracting, because I already work for all these small companies or even larger companies, and they're getting paid billions of dollars by the government. Why can't I get into it myself, you know? People don't understand. The government has to spend like 30% of their money on small businesses. So, like, why not become one and try to become that 30%, you know? And also, too, a little bit about it is, yeah, I help people get jobs in the industry and stuff, but I can't guarantee you a job. So when I get into the government contracting space, my goal is to have like a boot camp service. And then if you want to join, you know, if you want a government job, depending on what stage you're at, I can guarantee you that if you complete these requirements, you know. Definitely a long road from now, but that's the end goal.
And you're only 23?
Yeah.
Congrats, man.
No, I appreciate it.
When I was 23, I was in the club. But for everybody that is watching, sometimes you might need help. There's people that's been in cybersecurity for a while or IT that know what they're doing. So definitely check him out and check out his business if you need help consulting to get into cybersecurity or IT. There's nothing wrong with paying to. Everything is not free, but you know, check him out. And where can the audience find you?
Definitely on Instagram at King's Tech Consulting. We're on LinkedIn, Facebook. Yeah, just look up King's Tech Consulting. You should see everything. You know, the link tree and everything is on there.
So we're about to close out everything. Thank you again, Leslie. Thank you, everybody, for watching the Tech Woke Podcast. Remember, everybody, like the video, comment down below, share the video. Also, join the newsletter and check out Tech Woke Consulting. Also, remember, everybody, get 1% better every day. Peace out, everybody. I'll see you on the next one.